Welcome to How to Ditch Debt with Financielle. So we're going to walk with you through the process to become debt-free. We're going to cover what consumer debt actually is and what debt we're talking about. So why ditching debt is a great idea in today's day and age. When you should think about actually ditching debt. So in your process, in your money management, when you should think about ditching debt. And then finally, how you actually go about it. Let's get straight into it. Don't forget, if you are a Financielle app user, there's a free debt tool in there that you can use to start tracking your debt. So if you're really serious and you don't have the app yet, get the app downloaded. So firstly, what is debt? A debt is basically a sum of money that is owed or due to someone. When it comes to consumer debt, it can be in a few different forms. So here are some examples, but it could be credit cards or generic loans that are not connected to a thing. We just got them and we use them. Even if we pay things off on time, it's still a debt. Car loans, it could be car finance, family or friendship loans. So where you kind of owe people money in an informal basis, even if it's not technically on your credit report, it's still a debt. And even buy now, pay later finance, just because it's 0% and just because you intend to pay it off on time, it is still consumer debt. You'll note we're not discussing here student loans or mortgages when we talk about consumer debt. That is because it's entirely personal to you how you handle that kind of debt. But actually, if you get to a point where you want to pay that off as well, it's the same methodology. So why is debt not so good? We spend more. So the Dun & Bradstreet found that we spend 12 to 18% more when we use credit. So even when we're playing the credit game for points and paying it off in full, we're actually overspending on average. Combine that with the fact that credit doesn't always feel like real money, and we're using cash less and less. And so it's really hard to see the full impact of using credit when you're just putting things on a card. It doesn't always go on the statement straight away even. And so if it comes out your bank account, you can actually see your bank balance go down with each expense. And we as a human feel the pain of that bank balance going down every time. Also, when it comes to stress, like money and mental health are intrinsically linked. So where we have poor mental health, it can really impact our money management. And poor money management can often impact our mental health negatively. So there's this vicious cycle when it comes to money management, and stress, worry and anxiety around debt can be absolutely huge. I'm sure we've all heard in our personal lives some real severe stories of people who have struggled with debt, been ashamed by it, been backed into a corner, and the consequences can be devastating. And so no one ever likes to owe someone something, whether it's a family member or a friend or a company. It is a weight on our shoulders. This is much more practical. Debt steals from our income. This is where we jump to the practical impact of debt on your money management. So in the Financielle playbook, this is how we manage our money. This is how we do a budget. So we take our income, you take your expenses off your income, and what's left is the excess. Now, the excess is the tool that you can use to put towards your financial goals. So it's the difference between the two. So if you've got more coming in than you've got going out, you're going to have an excess. And whether that's £5 or £500, that's the thing that you've got to move yourself forward on this journey. And the bigger that excess, the quicker you're going to move through your journey and the quicker you're going to hit your goals. But debt payments add to your expenses. So this number in your expenses line goes up when you spend more. And that includes our monthly payments. If we can remove debt payments from our budget is in a gorgeous place to be able to hit some really cool goals. When should you do it? So as a lot of you know, when we do the Financielle playbook, we move through 3 stages: survive, build and grow. You'll see under each section, there's then tasks that you carry out, and you have to complete them before moving on to the next phase when you're in survive especially. The main principle is if you could do one thing at a time rather than getting distracted, you're more likely to nail that step and you can move on to the next. And when you're doing that, you're building really strong financial foundations. Ditch debt is in the survive section of the playbook, but importantly, it comes after 2 stages. Firstly, knowing your numbers. So being able to do a really effective budget and being in control of your money and knowing where you're up to from the very beginning gives you the best possible chance to really smash through this debt. And then secondly, you would build a mini emergency fund. And the mini emergency fund is really, really important for firstly teaching you that you can handle money. If you can pull between 500 and £1,000 to one side over a period of 1, 2, 3, 4 months, that is such an empowering thing to do. It's really impressive. And that's what we want to see people doing, because it's teaching you how to manage money, so that when you really need this skill for the next phase, which is ditching debt, you are already settled on your way and know how to do it. So hopefully you can see from this psychology that we want people to manage one thing at a time. The rest will come. We will be investing in the market. We will be buying homes if we want to buy homes. We will be buying property if we want to buy property. But let's not try and run before we can walk. The really other important thing about the emergency fund is that you can fall back on it if there's something that you've forgotten about and an emergency comes up. So a big credit cycle that people get into is this never-ending cycle of emergencies, and the credit card's always been our safety net. It's always been the thing that we rely on, when actually, if you have an emergency fund to rely on, you don't need that card. And if we can get you guys to a stage where you cut up your cards and you close accounts where you can and you say never again, then we've done our job. And hopefully by teaching you how to build an emergency fund first, you're also protected if you need access to short-term capital. Now we're going to talk about the magic. So in the Financielle playbook, we use the debt snowball method. So how do you do the debt snowball method? Well, as I said earlier, there's a free area in the Financielle app where everyone can list their debts, and we recommend that you list them smallest to largest. A tip for finding debts, if you don't know where they all are or you don't know the exact amounts, is run a free credit report. So you list your debts smallest to largest. So often we find that it's people's phone finance. A lot of people don't realize that your phone's probably got finance on it. Credit card, one or many. Lots of people have lots of little ones. You might have one really big one. Car loan, you could have a family IOU on here, like we said before. So get your debts in there and let's get the total. And what you do is, in your budget, you pay minimum payments on all of your credit card, all of your consumer credit, just like it's a normal outgoing. And then when you get to your excess, which, like we said before, that's what's left over after all your expenses have gone out, you put all of your excess onto the smallest debt. So for example, if we had £50 excess in our budget for July, we would have put that £50 immediately towards that phone credit and paid some of it off. And then in August, if we also had £50, then we'd put that £50 also on the phone credit, and we're now cleared a debt. We've ditched it, we've got rid of it. So not only have we got rid of a debt in terms of the capital amount, which is the full amount, we've also saved a monthly payment that's to that credit. So let's say, for example, that might have been £20 a month going towards paying off the phone. You've paid it off now, you own the phone, you don't have that debt. So your excess now for September has just gone up by 20, because you've just kicked off a monthly payment off your budget. You don't have it anymore. So this is how the snowball starts to gather momentum, because you had an excess of 50 and then you've saved an extra 20. Your new excess is 70. So now you have 70 to pay off the next smallest debt, which in this example on screen is a credit card. So with £1,000 to go on that credit card, you now have £70 a month, not 50, to throw at it. And you can really see how your budget comes into play here, because the higher that excess, so the higher your income and the lower your expenses, and bringing in income from other places. You might get £50 for your birthday and think, I'm going to put this towards my debt. You might get a tax refund back in. You may sell a few things on Facebook marketplaces. You can really see how small amounts of money can really help when you're focusing on one thing. And what I like about this is, all you're focusing on is that credit card. You're not thinking about the car loan. You don't care about it. You're not thinking about saving for a bigger emergency fund. You're not thinking about house deposit. All you're thinking about is that credit card, and you will go to bed thinking about that credit card, and you'll wake up thinking about that credit card. And when you put all that energy towards one thing, it will absolutely move much more quickly than anything else in your life. And you'll also gain, other people will see you do this. So you might say, look, I'm not coming out of a dinner because I'm trying to pay off the credit card. It's going to be gone in 2 payments. I know it is, but I need to be really strict. And then I might kind of give myself a bit of a break in November, but see you in a couple of months, this credit card's going. And you can see how it snowballed, because when the credit card goes and say your monthly payment was £50 to this credit card, that's now a £50 plus a £50 plus a £20 excess. You've now got 120. And as I said, there could have been extra income that you're bringing in and extra expenses that you're cutting that really help make that excess bigger. So if you think about what we said on the last slide, your excess, the bigger it is, the more quickly you're going to be able to hit your goals. And this is how the debt snowball method has helped, probably hundreds of thousands of people worldwide to clear debt, but absolutely thousands of people in our own community who just appreciated having a step-by-step plan, following that meticulously, focusing on one thing at a time and building momentum, and actually being quite proud of themselves on the way. So, we really want you to imagine what being debt-free would feel like. The people that are debt-free that I know kind of walk a little bit differently. They will push back on society. They're not afraid of appearing a bit weird, whether it's doing your expenses at the checkout in Tesco properly, or paying with cash envelopes, or whether it's saying, no, I'm not going to come out for dinner, but I'll join you for drinks after, or actually I'm going to host it at mine and we'll all bring an item and we'll still have fun, but I'm not paying £200 going to Manchester for X, Y, and Z. They're happy to push back. They set goals as well, so it's not just this like air of frugality where they have to go without, but there's no reason for it. There's kind of this bigger picture. They're really happy to sacrifice, though, especially for a short-term element, that they're happy to go without because they do see this bigger picture. And so as a result, they develop really strong self-control, and it might be on little things and it might be on big things. They really don't care what other people think, because they're so passionate that they've spent their entire life pleasing other people and spending to keep up with everyone else. And actually, as they get older, they realize that's not what's important. And what's important is their own family goals and their own private personal goals. And so they will spend and or do activities if they and their family want to, not because other people suggest that they should. So then they're happy to say no, and no is a complete sentence. Doesn't need to be a reason why if you don't want to. It doesn't have to, be inappropriate. It could be very polite, but no, thank you, is kind of how they act. And it happens, by the way, long after they're debt free, because it carries on to their next stages of the playbook. And like I said, overall, they see the bigger picture. They understand this is a habit change. This will not happen overnight. They also understand they're going to make mistakes and they're going to get it wrong. And once in a while, they may slip back into old habits, but eventually they'll crack it and they'll keep going, and they will become debt free, and they will never again take on credit. The tools are in the playbook, and the playbook's in the app, and the trackers are in the app as well. So we'll be able to track your debt snowball and see it go down, and the key to it all, which is the budget. So hopefully that has given you some inspiration today. Tell us your progress and share your wins with us, because you just have no idea the impact that you could be having on someone else.